is RFK Jr.'s nomination to be the top health official circling the drain after a losing effort over 2 days with the Senate, including Republicans who aren't buying his attempts to walk back his anti-vaccination positions or his abortion positions for that matter. He came off like a buffoon, like somebody who's not ready for prime time, which makes perfect sense since he's not a scientist, he's not a doctor. He was barely an environmental lawyer before he was tapped by Donald Trump and tried to give the keys to our entire health program. Not so fast. We cover it all on Legal AF at the midweek. After dark. Take a listen.
Let's start with the RFK confirmation hearing today. I happened to watch a lot of it, and it was really jarring to me that this is somebody who is going to be head of HHS, Health and Human Services. First of all, I was shocked that it would be somebody who's not a doctor, but maybe that's common. But you would think you'd have a doctor or a scientist, right? Someone with a PhD who really understands this stuff, as opposed to somebody like him who his own cousin. Did you see Caroline Kennedy came forward and wrote a letter to the Senate that she read and put it on video? I mean, she said, I've known him my whole life. We grew up together, and he is not to be trusted. He's a predator. Essentially what she was saying was his home and was always the den of inequity, that his cousins and brothers and sisters he led them into a life of drug addiction and all sorts of crazy things. Also saying that he was cruel to animals, right? That he would put, I think it was like mice and other small and baby chicks in a blender and while they were alive and laugh about it while he's blending them to feed to his birds of prey that he kept as pets. I mean, that just anyone who finds joy in that, I'm not saying, whatever. I've seen people feed live animals to other animals, and or bugs and that kind of thing. Like that is what is done. But someone who relishes in the joy of blending an alive baby chick is just, I mean, honestly, I can't think of anything worse and more disgusting. And she just talked about some really disturbing things that he was saying, including the fact that he peddles these conspiracy theories and lies about things that science has absolutely been proven 12 ways to Sunday are effective and safe. And it's just shocking to me that this is somebody who might be confirmed. Now, the Senate has a job. They have to give advice and consent to the president. He appoints, but they have a hearing because they get to do that. If they vote for this man, that's going to be very disturbing. I mean, science shouldn't be political, right? Science should just be science. It should be above the fray when it comes to politics. But what did you think? About your takeaways from the hearing?
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like he, tried to lie or backtrack against statements he made. Pretty much every answer was, the chemicals in our water and our food. And frankly, I think a lot of Americans do agree with him on that part. Like if he was literally just trying to change that, but that's, he wants to do away with vaccines because if we have healthy food, then we won't have polio. We had polio before chemicals in our food, right? I mean, he's like a one-man pony or whatever. Doesn't know enough. They were asking questions about, our healthcare system. He really didn't have enough answers. And in terms of, the video, I think a lot of people, it was shocking. She was really, really blunt. I think a lot of people were shocked that she came out that way. She's very quiet, really, typically involved in terms of politics. Once you say that about your relative, I think you have pretty much cut off ties with that person. But I think the most important thing, and she kind of referenced it in the video, and then again with I really hope the senators bring out the fact that he has tried now twice to bring cases to the Supreme Court, saying that doctors have a free speech constitutional right to lie to their patients. There's doctors in California and Washington who had their licenses suspended or revoked because of misinformation and lies they told around the COVID vaccine, treatments for COVID. And RFK Jr. said to the Supreme Court, they shouldn't have their licenses suspended. This is a free speech. So here you have somebody in charge of our whole healthcare system who is literally advocating for doctors to be able to lie to their patients. I mean, we're already dealing with misinformation in the media. Who can we trust, right? It's sad. As a former journalist, it's sad to me how distrustful most of the media has become. Are we now going to have that be that you cannot trust your doctor, you can't trust your lawyer? I mean, we have licensing requirements about what we can and can't say to our client, let's say. So this is like a major, to me, like should be disqualifying in itself. And so as much as she attacked his character, her alluding to the fact that he's still in a lawsuit against the HPV vaccine and so will profit, from anything related against the HPV vaccine. It's those things that I'm hoping there will be enough Republican senators to vote against him because, he's clearly unqualified and really dangerous for the job.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Some things that they pointed out during the hearing today was that he claims that he never said that exposure to pesticides can cause someone to become trans and to have gender dysphoria is what I think he said. And he denied ever saying that, but there's actually a clip that proves that he did say it. I mean, so it's things like that he has said that's what he thinks, that's what happens. There's no science that shows anything like that. He says that, and he didn't deny this, that he thinks Lyme disease is it's a bioengineered weapon, a bioweapon that was bioengineered. I mean, again, not backed by science. He went to Samoa apparently and counseled people not to be vaccinated for the measles. And then there was a measles outbreak there where 83 people died. He refuses to say measles are deadly. He'll say that even before the vaccine, it wasn't deadly. And he's against the World Health Organization. He says they're controlled by pharmaceutical companies. He thinks pandemics are fabricated. He says he's never been anti-vax, but in a book that he wrote, he said the opposite and said that he thinks shots are doing more harm than good. Meanwhile, his kids are vaccinated. So it's just unbelievable that, he also said apparently COVID-19 is a genetically engineered disease that targets blacks and whites, but spares Ashkenazi Jews. I mean, just strange beliefs that I don't know any doctors or scientists who are backing him. And it really just flies in the face of what we know and what should happen and who should be the head of HHS. That's just my opinion. And hopefully the Senate will see that and see that this shouldn't be political. And, it's fascinating when you got someone's family member, like to come, as you pointed out, when you come out against a family member, you're basically saying, it's a big deal. You're severing all ties forever, right? What is it about Trump and like Pete Hegseth's mother came out against him. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And you've got these people who their family members, their own conscience is coming forward saying, I have to come forward. Even someone like Caroline Kennedy, who is notoriously quiet and somewhat neutral even though she's been an ambassador to multiple countries on behalf of the United States, she's not someone I would say is overtly political, right? She, despite her family ties to politics. So for her to come forward and say something like that, she must have really felt she needed to. And I think it says a lot. And hopefully in this particular instance, like I said, science should trump, any politics, and our health depends on it, our children depend on it, right? They can't this type of experiment of tearing down the system that he wants to do throughout the government, you can't do that with people's lives, and people's lives are on the line here.
Yeah, I think Pete Hegseth's mother wrote the email privately, and then the New York Times published it. So somebody she sent it to,
I see,
or maybe she, behind the scenes. And then when it was revealed, she did support him in the press. But what she wrote about him was, the fact that she said that he was an abuser of women. Yeah. It was pretty intense.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. It's just surprising to me, that RFK Jr. has gotten this far. There's one more day of hearings coming up, and then I suppose they'll vote, and we'll see what ends up happening.
Welcome back, Legal AF. It's the OG. It's the original podcast devoted to law and politics. 2 shows a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel for Midas Touch. And then we do audio podcast platforms of your choice. We sit at that intersection of law and politics that you don't have to, and we don't blow smoke or sunshine. Wednesdays, I do the show with Karen Friedman, Agnifilo. There was Dina sitting in for me. And on Saturdays with our co-founder, Ben Mysalis. So if you know everything about Legal AF, you're already part of our audience. I thank you for being here and being there. We are humbled by you and by your involvement. On the other hand, if you don't know about us, I'm inviting you personally. I'm Michael Popok, one of the co-founders of Legal AF, to join us. It's important that we join together. We speak truth to each other before we speak truth to power. Glad you're here. Until our next Legal AF on this Saturday, I'm Michael Popok, and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.